Hey, Katie.
Hey, Greg.
So I want to ask about getting on up to speed to talk about all the exciting things the ethics and compliance team are up to.
Possibly. Let me talk it over with the team in our next editorial meeting and we'll see what we can do.
Well, between us, would this help?
Greg, that would be unethical.
Great, Katie. That was a test and you passed.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
But really, when can we get on up to speed?
Well, what are you doing right now?
That was Greg Harris, one of the leaders in our compliance and ethics group, having a little bit of fun with me on a serious topic. Hey everyone, welcome to Up to Speed. Greg, along with his colleague Steve Helvin, is joining us today to talk a little bit more about what's happening in their areas of the business. So thank you both so much for joining us. So Greg, let's go ahead and start with you. Before we dive in, how are you? How are you doing? How's the family?
Well, thanks, Katie. We're doing well. I mean, it's a time of multiple crises, but I actually find that the time with family and at home, it's a bit of a gift. And we've been able to introduce my daughter to drive-in movies recently here in the North area, and that's been a lot of fun.
Nice, good stuff. So let's get started. So tell us a little bit about your group and your areas of responsibility.
Well, the compliance group's main mission is to protect Verizon and individual V-teamers by creating a culture of integrity and accountability. Within compliance, my team works with senior leaders and experts to understand the legal and ethical risks we face across the company and around the globe. And then we help to educate V-teamers about making decisions that put integrity first. When we do it right, when we make the rules of the road clear and understandable, V-teamers are able to recognize risk areas, navigate them with confidence, and know with certainty that we're here to provide support and guidance when they have questions or have concerns.
So what's your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job is exactly what we're doing right now, communicating with employees. I've been an attorney for 21 years, but my goal is when people talk to me that they don't hear a lawyer. They hear a human being, a person who can talk to them, not cite laws and statutes, but talk about what the points are, what the rules are, what the values are that are behind. So thank you so much for having us on.
You bet. So I know that one of the things you're focused on is Verizon's culture of integrity and the purpose and importance of speaking up.
Yeah, I think we're all incredibly proud of Verizon's culture. Our values are on display every day here on Up to Speed Live. We saw Hans dedicate Verizon to social responsibility and racial equality in a very moving way. And we hear Christy answer our questions about the pandemic with transparency and compassion. And sometimes the compliance team gets to see our leaders when they're not in front of a camera and where they have to make really difficult decisions. And they do that in a way that puts integrity first.
So when we talk about a culture of integrity, one of the things that comes to mind is that, beyond those big decisions that are made at the leadership level, it's about how we, 130,000 people, make the right choices every day.
That's such an important point, Katie, because, a true culture of integrity needs to go far deeper than our senior leaders. I mean, we have that, but we need every V-teamer to be aware of ethical risks and to recognize those challenges, make good choices, and make their voices heard, again, when they have questions or concerns. And sometimes we face integrity issues without ever realizing that we've wandered into a danger. I know we have a video. Maybe we can take a look at one of those.
Yeah.
My name is Terry Shank. I've been with the company for 35 years. I've worked in all aspects of operations in the Oregon territory. It was 3 years ago that I got brought onto the build team, which is part of the engineering group that is building the 5G network throughout Verizon's territories. And I was introduced to, I'm responsible for ensuring that the vendors do work that we contract to them. This one particular vendor asked me to lunch one day to talk about possibilities of extending contracts to them. It was around my birthday time frame, which they were aware of because I was going to be traveling that weekend with my girlfriend. While we were sitting there, having lunch, The one guy, he just reached over with an envelope and slipped it into my pocket. He says, here, take her out to dinner. I told him, I said, no, you don't have to do that. I would reach to him. He says, no, it's okay. Just, take it. It's our gift to you for, considering us for the work. We had finished lunch and we talked about different things and what we might be able to do. And I got numbers from people to contact to possibly establish some work with them. When I got to my vehicle, I took the envelope, I opened it up, and there was $1,000 in there. And I knew immediately, it didn't kind of feel right at first either. When I saw that there was, 10 fresh $100 bills in there, I wasn't very, very comfortable at all, because I don't deal with those kind of things. Never would take a bribe, never would, expect anybody to do that. And it kind of frightened me. So I immediately got onto my phone to my boss and told him about the situation. And he says, well, when you get back to the office, let's have a discussion about it. And I asked him who I should contact, what I should do. And I knew it was going to be with the ethics office, but I'd never had a situation like that occur. We contacted the ethics office. I took pictures of everything, forwarded them off to my boss at the time. We then went through the process and eventually was contacted by the ethics office, and it was instructed to return the money. And I didn't feel uncomfortable at all working with them. I felt like that was a very good experience. I kind of felt good. I've dedicated this much time in my life to this company. I wanted to be the good guy. I wanted to do the right thing. And I certainly didn't want, to have the reputation of the company being disparaged by having employees that would do such a thing. It showed my integrity to the company. If somebody comes up to that kind of situation where they've been offered a bribe or something that is not an ethical situation, you need to tell your supervisor. You need to tell the ethics group. You have to be honest about it, because it's not only the company's reputation that is at stake, it's your career. Thinking about the money, the money itself is not worth losing your job. The job to me is more important than anything. Be proud for the company they work for. Take advantage of the offer to report those kind of things. There are people out here to help you with that, and do the best you can. Be honest, be forthright.
Thanks so much, Terry, for sharing your story. For someone like me who's not, involved in awarding business to suppliers, this was really eye-opening. Things like this really do happen out there. So, Steve, let's talk to you a little bit. You're one of the leaders on the ethics team, and we're one of the people who handled this situation with Terry. So what else can you tell us about this situation?
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, sometimes seeing the problem is easy, but that doesn't mean that doing the right thing is always easy. Here, even with someone like Terry, who I think you saw has that clear sense of personal integrity, the first time I spoke with him, I got that feeling that he had some uncertainty about the ethics process, and I absolutely get that, right? For many employees, they've never worked with ethics. There are a lot of questions about how does it work? What comes next? And one of the things that we in ethics want to do is show that we understand how difficult it can be to raise concerns. And when you do, your matters can be handled appropriately and with common sense. And, the other thing I would say is, I was really impressed here by Terry's commitment to living our credo, right? And I remember the first time I chatted with him, he said to me, I could use $1,000, but not like this. And candidly, not everyone is like that. There are people out there who would be tempted to say no one's ever going to find out and take the money, and they'd put themselves at risk. They'd put Verizon at risk. And that didn't happen here, right? In this case, thanks to Terry's actions, he really helped us out. We stopped business with that vendor. And if you think about it, that really meant that we ended the possibility of that vendor putting other V-teamers in that type of difficult spot in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's just kind of one of the many, examples of the things your office gets involved in. But, on the flip side, there are a lot of, kind of cool things that V-teamers bring to the group, from my understanding. So we're going to take a look at a video in a minute. And let me just tell you, this is really cool. And it involves rockets. Let's take a look.
My name is Coram Gore. I'm an Associate General Counsel in the Legal Department here at Verizon, working primarily with Nikki Palmer and the Technology and Product Development team, as well as the Technology Development team and 5G Labs. I was originally a computer scientist and joined Lockheed Martin as an engineer working for the U.S. Navy and the Coast Guard. And from there, I went to law school, worked at a law firm, worked at a startup as General Counsel and Chief Strategy Officer, and then came here to Verizon. So I'm an alumni of Stevens Institute in Hoboken, New Jersey, and through my work as an alumni with the Stevens Venture Center, I met a great group of young entrepreneurs who have taken their senior design project and turned it into a brand new business. And the senior design project was rocketry, and their business is taking that platform that they created and making it possible for researchers, both corporate and academic, do microgravity research in space to really accelerate the pace of innovation. In working with them, they reached out to me and said, we would love for you to join our advisory board. The first thing I did was I let my manager here at Verizon know, as well as the ethics office, and went through a questionnaire, some back and forth, and the support I got back was amazing. Everyone was excited. They thought it was really interesting. I think it's interesting. My 11-year-old self thinks it's interesting. It was a very frictionless process. Everybody's on the same page, and it's just been wonderful to work with the ethics office. I think everybody at Verizon has things that they love to do outside of work, and unique opportunities come up to really take an interesting role in those things. And at the same time, it's really important to let Verizon know and the rest of your team members know what you're working on, so that we don't have any shadow of a conflict going on. And there's a lot of stuff that Verizon does do, and there's a lot of stuff that Verizon doesn't do, but it's important that everybody be on the same page. I recommend folks just reach out and be honest and share what they're interested in, and the ethics office, in my experience, will figure out how to say yes rather than how to say no.
Thanks so much for sharing that story. And, like you mentioned in the video, that is just one example of all different kinds of things that V-Teamers, are getting involved with outside of work. So, Steve, tell us a little bit about some of the other kind of experiences and interests, your team works with employees on.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to, Katie. The good news is that in addition to getting concerns about unethical behavior, we do get a whole lot of proactive questions from employees who are seeking guidance, and we love those, right? We get, for example, a broad array of conflict of interest questions, personal relationships with suppliers and partners, outside employment, and it's really great when employees raise those, because even the appearance of a conflict of interest can cause problems. So, look, employees aren't coming to us hoping to hear, no, you can't do that, right? We want to be able to get V-Teamers to a yes. You take Kuram's question, for example. That was such a cool thing to be able to look into. We have an attorney who's going to be on the board of a rocket company. Of course we want to permit that, right? One for everyone, if we can get to a yes, that's within the guardrails of our integrity standards.
Thanks so much for that background, Steve. So, Greg, I will turn it back to you for a minute. So if employees have questions, how can they get in touch with the team?
Well, Steve and the ethics team are available 24/7. I certainly bother them 24 hours a day and on weekends. They're available to employees worldwide anytime you need them, by phone, on the web, or at vzguide@verizon.com. Or you can contact, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Greg. I was saying we'll make sure we have all those details for the employees on the web when we post Up to Speed later today.
Absolutely. It's on VZ Web. It's on the street for Verizon Media. Or honestly, you could contact me or Steve or anyone in compliance directly. We are always happy to hear from you. But, Christy just released an article on the Speak Up culture that's on the street in VZ Web today. And as she says, the most important thing is that V-Teamers speak up and make their voice heard. Because if we're not aware of something, and we can't be aware of what all 135,000 people are facing, we can't help to deal with it, and we want to.
So, Greg, what's next for the compliance and ethics teams?
We've got some cool things going on. I know everybody just adores online training, and so you're welcome. In mid-September, we're going to release 2020 Code of Conduct training. It's going to deal specifically with privacy and information security, which is just such an important issue. We've worked with the CISO team and the privacy office on that. But it's also going to deal with some of my personal favorite issues, like conflicts of interest, the types of things that Khurram said in the video. We don't even want to have the shadow of a possibility of it. And it's going to talk about our social media guidelines, which is something employees have told us they want to hear. We're also going to be rolling out our Act with Integrity virtual live training to more teams. And it's a virtual board game where employees get to compete using realistic scenarios from compliance cases, like the one Terry faced. And then finally, we'd love to come back. I'm not going to offer you a $20 bill this time, but we'd love to come back and tell more of these integrity stories like Terry and Khurram's. And we hope that through this, more people will get in touch with us, so we'll be able to share those stories as well if people want us to.
All right, Greg. Well, Steve, thanks so much for joining us today. We will definitely check back in soon. So, V-Team, a couple of things before we wrap up today. Today at 3 p.m. Eastern, tune in for our next episode in our Next 20 series, centered around the issues that will define the next 20 years. Next 20 conversations feature up-and-coming and established changemakers talking about the inspiration behind their action. In this episode of Next 20, Sabeel Marcellus from Yahoo Finance hosts a two-part panel on how small businesses can rise up and rebuild with visionaries Kezia Williams, CEO of Black Upstart, and Elizabeth Gore, co-founder of Hello Alice, as well as small business owners Lindsay Brantley, CEO of Camellia Elise, and Michelle Swittenberg, co-founder of Brawl Studio. All the details are on the web. And on the next slide, to keep the learning going all summer long, check out the latest editions of the My Edge and Leadership Edge summer playlists. My Edge has a conversation on collaboration with the musical director and composer for Saturday Night Live. Pretty cool. And in the latest installment of Leadership Edge Radio, Bart Bailey of Courage to Care shares how empathy and an appreciation for humanity can positively change the world. With that, we will wrap it up for this Tuesday. Have a great day, everyone. Back with you here tomorrow. Until next time, you're up to speed.